You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 4th of March 2024.
Did you see Kneecap on the... Did we talk about this last week on the
Yeah,
Late
we
Late
did,
Show?
yeah.
And I only watched it there.
Yeah. It's funny, yeah. Because, like, yeah, go on.
Uh-oh.
No, I was just saying that, like, we talked about women in harmony on the Late Late Show and then agreeing to take off the badges. And then we talked about Kneecap agreeing to take off the badges and then not taking them off.
Yeah.
But when we were talking about that, you had forgotten that we had talked about women in harmony the previous week.
Okay.
And now we're talking about Kneecap again because you forgot that we talked about Kneecap last week.
Okay.
But what did you see? What did you see? You watched the clip anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick Kielty pushes back a bit, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he says, oh, well, there's two sides to every story.
I have to say, I'm obliged to say this, that our thoughts are with everybody in that conflict. Some horrific stuff is happening there. I'm also obliged to say that in the politics, there's another side and some people mightn't agree with what you've done. So
that's real evil cowardice, isn't it?
Oh,
like,
I mean,
I was thinking about this, I'm just really worried about repeating myself now. But
don't worry about it. It's all good. We love it. Everyone loves it.
Not
everybody's not tuning in, taking every fucking detail. Do you know?
Yes, they are.
I suppose.
What was I going to say? Yeah, because Kneecap. Apparently they're going on Jimmy Fallon.
Really?
Apparently so. So, like, when they go to Jimmy Fallon's going to be like, you're not allowed to say anything about Palestine. They're just a bunch of evil terrorists. And it sort of, for some reason, that's less reprehensible to me than Patrick Kielty. Just being like,
really?
Well, it's just like, Fallon believes that. Whereas,
yeah,
Kielty is just like exhibiting a real cowardice,
Yeah.
He's like, no, there's two sides. I know it's a genocide, but there's another side to it, like...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're both referenceable, but there's something makes me very angry about Patrick Kielty,
In the wake of October 7th, he did a little video going like, I know we're all like very upset about what happened and there's a lot of bad stuff in the world and we're all holding our like little loved ones a little tighter now and we're all a little more worried. But like what he brought up was like what happened in Northern Ireland, it can happen everywhere else where we all get around a table and hash it out and do
Yeah.
And then you're like, people can leave that clip and they can think whatever the fuck they want. They can be like, he loves Israel, he hates Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
That's almost our time this evening, but before we go, I'd just like to say that tonight, so many of us here on the Late Late Show want to send our love to the family of Kim Dante and all the families whose lives this week have been ripped apart in Israel and Palestine. There are no words that will even touch the sides on the pain and the loss and the ongoing horror that's been felt by so many tonight, but as someone who grew up during a conflict where the rights and wrongs of politics were always writ large, one common truth was that the hurt and the pain on both sides was sadly the same. We all shared something, but we just didn't realize it at the time. And there were days when we thought it would never end. Tonight there are many parents and children in Israel and in Gaza who also think that this will never end and are praying for a miracle to make it stop. In the midst of despair, miracles are hard to believe in, but it's worth remembering that we are currently living our own miracle on this island because we are living in peace. And for all those in Israel and Palestine tonight, it mightn't seem like it, but there's always hope. And we hope that your miracle comes soon. This has been The Late Late Show. I'm Patrick Kielty. Until next week, good night.
But then and that was in the wake of the attacks. Now, I've seen some like really, there was a guy who like I know, big bollocks on Twitter.
Name and shame. No, I don't.
Will I? I don't know, because they're involved in animation, and I kind
Willie,
of was like,
is that his name?
Yeah.
Will
but
I?
he like,
what's his name?
it was kind of, his name, I worked with him before, and he was incredibly rude to me, so maybe it's okay that I call him out here. I can bleep this later. His name is okay, but he used to be on, when he was on Twitter, he would be kind of like the guy, if they wrote an article on the Daily Edge, they'd put in a tweet to be like, here's what people are saying, you know? And around the repeal of the 8th, he's like a Labour guy. At the time, I believe he was. He was certainly acting that way. Maybe he would say otherwise. But he would be like, he was part of like a collection of tweets that gets brought up every now and again, where he was basically like, congratulations, repeal. You just lost this referendum from being too mean. And then obviously it's like 60% people in favor of repealing the 8th. But he's one of those people who's like, we need to sit down and sensibly talk with our enemies. And I see him on like LinkedIn. And then if you're like a kind of thwarted creative as I am, you get kind of frustrated seeing the people who are making a bunch of money, and you're like, I should be in that room and I wish I could be that fucking spoofer, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing that drove me crazy was that he would constantly post about Ukraine on LinkedIn, okay? And he'd be like, Putin is bad. We need to fucking get him out of there. We need to go in. And I was just like, it just really frustrated me, because I was like, everybody is really, benign on LinkedIn. You're kind of trying not to rock the boat. You're trying to be like, oh, thanks so much for the opportunities that I got at Blizzard. Unfortunately, I was part of the layoffs where 80% of the workforce were fired. But all the memories I made will last a life. I can't wait for the next adventure, you know? Just this fucking like awful, phony, frustrating thing. But then the fact that this guy could go on and be like, yeah, well, obviously we all hate Putin, don't we? Fuck Putin. And then it'd be like, I hate that, like, he can go on there and say this shit, because I love Putin. No, it's because, like, it's just like if I went on there and was like, fuck Fine Gael, fuck Radker, people would be like, you can't say that, do you know? Like, but think if he saw that, then you mightn't be able to get, like, you know, you mightn't be able to do the little video for the Department of Foreign Affairs. You mightn't be able to do such and such, you know? There's always this kind of calculation, and it frustrated me. So then I was like, what the fuck is this guy saying about Palestine? Now, when I checked this was like just around Christmas, December, okay? And I went scrolling. Nothing about Palestine. Nothing about Ukraine either, so I guess he's given up on that. And nothing like, but he would have been one of the guys that would have been like, those fucking orcs. You know what I mean? He would have been like, you know, the Ukraine do not have a Nazi problem. You have a Putin puppet problem, you know? He'd be that type of guy, you know? But anyway, scrolling. The only thing that I saw him post was Patrick Kielty's fucking speech. Because I was like, that is, of course, that's something that you can post, because it's the most fucking, no texture in my mouth. Just like, you know, why can't we all just get along? It could be something that would be in fucking Haaretz. Do you know what I mean? Like their type of like liberal Zionist project, like Haaretz, the newspaper over in Israel, which is kind of considered their like liberal outlet, where it's like, we're all protesting for peace. And then you go in and interview some of the people there, and they're like, yeah, we need peace, aka bring the hostages back and then just level Gaza. That's all we can do, because we need to get rid of Hamas. That's the only way to bring about peace, you know? But it's that kind of, it's like what's happening there now, where like the Americans are like, you know, here are the food parcels getting to these people, and we need to, like, I don't know if you saw the clip of Kamala Harris yesterday, and she goes, we need a ceasefire, and then everyone applauds, and she goes, for 6 weeks.
There must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks.
You're banned from this historical society. You and your children and your children's children. For 3 months.
6 weeks.
We need a 6-week ceasefire. Yeah. It's like,
not too long.
It's like, yeah, bury your dead, then we'll get back to just shelling you to bits. Do you know what I'm getting at? It's just these empty gestures and it means absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what Patrick Kielty was doing. And then he's suddenly interviewing Kneecap and then they just go, well, all these people are being killed. We need a ceasefire and this needs to
and
stop.
Then he's
and
like,
blah, blah.
Please chill out. Please stop. Like I think what's so bad about it is that he's been shown, he's in the face of an action and then he's trying to like hide it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'd be interested there to see when they go on Fallon, see what happens. Could be their Sinead O'Connor moment. You know?
Yeah, that's where I will really see if the rubber...
It is mad she's Muslim, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the third time you've said that.
No, I know, I was joking.
Okay, right. Okay, good. Thank God. For a second there.
Something's really wrong with James.
No, but like with Kneecap, I also mentioned this and I cut this out because I thought it was unfair, but I do think it's worth mentioning now in the light of the Jimmy Fallon thing. But one of the things they said was, we've got a platform and we have to use it. And I suddenly felt like I fucking hate that word. It just sends something in my shiver down my spine of like a platform, you know?
Yeah.
Like a platform is always there at your convenience whenever you're saying that type of stuff. It's like, it's also like kind of, there's something very narcissistic about saying you have a platform, you know? Like...
How so?
I don't know how to put it, but I'm just saying like once it gets to Fallon, I would love to see if the platform still exists. Do we need the platform? And I was like, well, we want to get work in America, and it's better that we use our platform inside the tent as opposed to outside the tent. So if being on Fallon launches our career, then maybe we won't wear the Palestinian badges this time, but we will wear them next time. Do you know? Like it's... I just feel like you should say it independent of a platform. It's like any, you know, well-meaning person, it should be like, and it is at the moment, the only thing that anybody is talking about or should be talking about when a genocide is happening.
It will be interesting to see if they do it on Fallon. I'd say they will. I'd say that it'd just be, I think they might just be doing a song or something, you know. I don't think they're getting a full interview, but I imagine they'll wear something.
Yeah.
Like
or do something at the end of it. I mean, like, there's a delay now, I'd imagine. I don't know if they actually do those shows live. They record them during the day and then they can just edit out whatever.
Yeah.
You know? So it'd be like, I'm wearing this Palestinian flag balaclava. And then they go, no, you need to take that off. And then they'd be like, well, no. It's like, all right, we'll just get somebody else. Fine.
Yeah, that's it.
And then they go to the paper and say, like, they wouldn't let us do it this way, so we decided not to do it. And that could be a real statement. But you could totally imagine, like, well, we performed, and then afterwards, they made us take off all of our Palestinian shit. It was very upsetting. It's like, you still performed, though.
Yeah.
Still, you know. I'm actually getting mad at something that hasn't even happened yet. I'm just like, it's just that all the warning signs are there when you're just, the word platform is triggering me, is all. I'm sorry, you know.
No, it is definitely one of those words. But it's also like, maybe it's a word they just heard, you know. They are from Northern Ireland. Things take longer to get up there.
Yeah. Don't think they have the internet.
Yeah. Like abortion.
Yeah.
Like we got it all the way back in 2016. We were trailblazer. Whenever we got it.
I was trying to remember if Michelle O'Neill was on the stage at Dublin Castle. And she probably was.
It wasn't 2016. It was
2018.
Yeah, we've had it for like 6 years, you know?
Yeah. And everybody
When
loves
did England get it?
Yeah. Probably don't have it. I'm not looking that up, but they probably don't fucking even have it. You know that.
When did England get it?
I don't know, man.
Guess. Take a punt.
1972.
1967. Did it in the 60s. We didn't.
That's pretty good. Gotta give it to them there. Gotta give it to them.
Have you decided how you...
Hey, credit where it's due.
Have you decided where you're voting on the referendum?
Yes, no and no. Yeah, I've decided that relatively recently. So it's open to change. Anybody can try and get on and be like, no, change your mind. But
okay.
One of them's a hard fucking no. The other one is a soft no, but it's just based off of vibes. How are you voting?
Referendum.
Okay. There was just a clip that I saw this morning of Radker being interviewed on something called the 6 o'clock show. I'm not sure whether it's on at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the evening, but either way, he was talking about the referendum, and he just goes, he does his usual thing of that horrible smug laugh where he's kind of like, do you expect me to do anything, you know, like that type of laugh. And what he says is, he goes,
so, you know, very often the state will step in if somebody doesn't have a family to look after them, or if they need, you know, particular very high care needs. But certainly, you know, my experience of life, and I'm sure it's most people's experience of life, you know, my parents brought me up, they cared for me. When they're old, I'm going to make sure they're looked after. God forbid if something happened to either of my sisters, I'll make sure that my nephews and nieces are looked after, that they have a home, they have an education. I don't actually think that's a state's responsibility, to be honest. I do think that is very much a family responsibility.
So the argument that he's making is, hey, we all have families, and we all need to take care of our families, and it's not the state's responsibility to take care of families. But the way that he says it, he goes, and like, I just don't think that it is the responsibility of the state to take care of family. Like, he's doing that.
Yeah.
I was just like, I've never hated this man more. Like, he's just so... That thing that he does where he's like... He is like the manager of a bank. Because I was thinking about, like, in theory, like, that's exactly what the state is for. The state, you know, like we're all like, we're going to all kick in a bit of money to make sure that everybody is taken care of. And, you know, we have all these municipal services, things that look after people. And then he's like, but like, I don't think that that's the role of the state. The role of the state is to take that money and to get a return on our investment by going to, you know, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what his mentality is, but you just have a feeling where he's like, you can't spend money on social housing because how are we meant to get some money back from that? It's like, you get a house back from that. That's the thing that you get, you know? Like, when you spend money on care for people, you get the care. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, it's not nothing. I just don't understand why he just has such a transactional mind that he's there like laughing, going like, oh, we all understand this though, obviously. And I'm sure that there is a bunch of people out there going, yeah, it is actually like that. I take care of my family, they should take care of theirs. But
it's interesting. Like, he doesn't like social housing because he doesn't see a return on it. It sort of shows he's like, he thinks of himself as like the boss of the country. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's like
the manager of the country who's like, you know, I have to make these tough decisions. But you don't understand.
But the mad thing about it is that, like, managers and bosses, they make those decisions. I mean, a lot of the time because of shareholders. You know what I mean? It's like we have to increase the amount of money in the share. It's like we are the shareholders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the shareholders are the ones who are like, we want a house. And then he's like, no, the shareholders don't want that, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's like with the referendum as well. Like, I mean...
Yeah.
Like, there was a citizens... I was thinking about this. I was like, what they've done in the past year has actually been quite remarkable and slid under... I wouldn't say... Like, so you have like citizens' assemblies and referenda, which are these two things which have really engaged a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, we're actively involved in like putting forward like policy suggestions, and it's very progressive. And then we get to vote on it and be part of that. And then these campaigns are set up. And then what they did last year is they did, well, we're setting up something that's not a citizens' assembly, but it's going to give me the outcome that I want. Okay?
Yeah.
And then they ignore the Citizens' Assembly in this case and just go with their own wording. And then on top of that, they create this deliberately murky referendum thing, which is like, it was such an easy win to be like, let's remove the archaic language from the Constitution in an election year. It doesn't change anything. And we get to look like we're progressive and stick with us. But that's like, they couldn't help themselves.
What was the wording? From the Citizens
Assembly.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I just keep reading that it's a more progressive. I didn't even fucking look. You know, Varadkar, I'm sorry. I'm gonna, I'm saying it's sorry to Leo Varadkar. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know, like if I don't know something, Citizens Assembly, what is it called? Family? What is it?
Yeah, family.
Okay, I found one here from the 22nd of February where Varadkar is unsure Citizens Assembly wording on carers stronger than amendment. So I'm presuming they'll have what they suggested. The Citizens Assembly on Gender Equality recommended replacing the wording with language that was not gender specific and obliges the state to take reasonable measures to support care within the home and wider community. So they just changed the word and kept the other part.
Read it again.
Well, I'll read it because I think up here they go, there are 2 referendums being held on March 8th. Fuck, that's like 4 days away. Which proposes changing the Constitution. The second, the Care Amendment proposes deleting Article 41.2.1 and blah, 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 which makes reference to a woman's life and duties in the home.
You know how much duty is? Duty. Yeah, duty. Do you know how much duty is? No, I don't know how much duty is.
And inserting a new article that acknowledges family carers. The Citizens Assembly on Gender Equality recommended replacing the wording with language that was not gender specific and, quote, obliges the state to take reasonable measures to support care within the home and wider community. The wording being put forward in the referendum instead says the state shall, quote, strive to support the provision of care by family members to one another.
Credit to Aidan Fitzmaurice for deploying the perfect reference regarding this new wording.
Promise me you will not try to sleep with her.
I promise I will try not to sleep with her.
So, you slept with her. You promised.
I promised to try not to.
Yeah, well, you didn't try very hard, did you?
Mark, I tried incredibly hard. Just turns out it was literally impossible not to.
But then Varadkar is able to say, well, here's what he says. Asked about the chosen wording, the Taoiseach said that there is a different language that some people preferred. And that was the state would take reasonable measures. But what's reasonable? Is that actually stronger? I'm not even entirely sure it is. It is. One thing a government always has to do is, even though it's still weak, it's still stronger than what they're proposing. One thing a government always has to do is make decisions and make difficult choices. So I was there 12 to 13 years ago when we weren't talking about more resources for anything. We were talking about cutbacks. And governments always have to make difficult decisions. If you put in language, say, which was really, really, really strong around care, but you don't have any language about cancer treatment, then you have a problem. This is just gibberish, what he's saying right here.
Yeah.
You have to leave some discretion to the people you elect to decide how resources are allocated, how the money is spent. Because if you put everything in the Constitution, it's actually the courts who will decide, not the people who you elect. And that's not a good idea.
But they got rid of he's there talking about spending money, but they've gotten rid of anything that obliges them to spend money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got rid of the word economic necessity. And they just replaced it with, being cool towards, you know?
Yeah. Be legends to each other.
Don't worry, we'll be legends towards families. I can imagine the reason why we have, child money, you know? Or as I like to call it, a reward for having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. To quote David.
And look at that. You can look at my kids and you see exactly how many times I've had sex.
Yeah.
My dad has had sex 2 times at least. Well, not at least, at most. Sorry, because that's all it took. You know.
Well, yeah. Not at most either, because.
No, because don't you need? He did sex once. Now he had 1 kid.
Yeah.
Sex second time. Kid
so
again.
Exactly
Done.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He didn't have sex once, and then 2 years later, another kid came out. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. I stand corrected. Yeah, David McManus. You just wanted to make that clear in case anybody thought that you had that opinion.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. yeah, they like probably the reason why we have that is because the Constitution says we have to supply for people economically. As in, like,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah,
give cold hard cash, Bitcoin. Whereas with this new one, they could just be like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll support you."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I love that every single thing they think is like, as soon as I give the money to somebody, it just disappears.
Yeah, they'll
you know?
just spend that shit. You know, like they kind of.
Yeah, but then it's gone. It doesn't go anywhere. They just throw it in a fucking river.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know. But like all that stuff, like, wouldn't it? I don't know. I mean, I hate to even talk about this because I'm so fucking stupid on economic stuff. But isn't the idea is that it's like the blood flow of the economy? The money keeps moving.
The spice must flow.
You pass it down to these people, and then they put it back into like buying food. You know, even buying fucking TVs or something. It doesn't matter. It's like all these things that help, but as opposed to their mates who will just like drop it into a house and just leave it there to rot, where the money isn't going anywhere. You know,
I also
like he keeps talking. Yeah,
they also just need money. Do you know what I mean? It's like you give them the money because they need it.
Yeah,
it's like we can't give them money just because they need it.
I know,
just because we have it and they need it.
Yeah.
It's like that's exactly why you should give them the money.
He's such a fucking but like somebody said, Leo saying the quiet part out loud. He goes on to say he personally doesn't believe it's the state's responsibility, but the families to take care of whatever. But somebody,
well, see, it's interesting. He goes, he's like, it's not the state's responsibility to look after the family, but part of the new. Let me just check the wording again. It says the state recognises that the provision of care by members of the family gives to society support without which the common good cannot be achieved. So it's essentially saying like the state relies on families looking after each other, but then the family shouldn't rely on the state to do that. It's really just like people should look after each other. And don't be looking to the government for helping you with that, even though it's 100% necessary.
The remit,
for the government to function. Like we literally can't function if people don't look after each other.
The second part of it was about what the fucking the idea of durable relationships being added to the, as in marriage and durable relationships should be protected against attack or something like that.
Let's look it up.
Let's get this fucking right. Come on, folks.
So it says here, the state recognises the family, whether founded on marriage or on other durable relationships, as a natural and primary fundamental unit group of society, and as a moral institution possessing inalienable and imprescriptible rights. And man, this is all fucking gibberish.
I know, it's so like, but like, so this guy
just be like,
Edify,
families are cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
families care about each other.
So this fella on Twitter is at edify_IE. Sorry if he's a big racist, I don't know. Or I haven't checked their account. Their bio says, well-traveled, love to laugh, straight talker, zero tolerance for insincerity and BS in general. Views my own. I was like, that's going to be a red flag right there. But I'm still going to read what they said because I thought it was relevant. Because this is the other reason, the second part, for that particular section, why I'd be considering voting no. Because it's the recent thing that happened when I tried to get the dole. And so, like, might have talked about this. So I tried to get the dole, but because I was living with my partner, it meant that we were cohabiting, which meant that her income was my income. So I failed the means test because that means that I'm earning above the thresholds. Like, but her money is not my money, okay?
Yeah.
Whereas, like I don't know. There was just an observation that somebody I know made, which is like, if you were in a marriage, this would be applicable, okay? But also, if you were married, you would be able to get certain benefits that would be you wouldn't be able to get as a single person, as a fucking single cis-het straight male.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be,
Yeah.
No, but you wouldn't be able to get as a single person. And yet they go, no, but you're cohabiting, so you're technically married. And I was like, okay, so am I recognized as married and therefore can avail of X, Y, and Z? No, you can't. So what this person is saying, Edify is saying, the reality of this is families are to provide care, and the family referendum is to umbrella more families from durable relationships under the guise of inclusion. You know? So the idea is like, oh, we're trying to recognize a more diverse range of households. It's like, no, what you're trying to do is just increase the amount of people that you don't have to give any money to. You know what I mean? Like,
I kind of bottled that point, so I actually just wanted to nip in here and elaborate. I think the no thing for me, when I was thinking about it breaking down, there's the yes, which is Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, and those types. That's a yes vote. Then there's a yes vote of people who are like, the system isn't going to change. This is getting rid of archaic language and we just keep fighting again tomorrow. Then there's the no, is to say, I'm showing that I want to get rid of the archaic language by voting yes on this one, but I'm also saying that with this no vote, that I don't agree with the spirit of the way in which this was conducted or the piece itself, obviously. So then there's a no, which is usually right-wing freaks who think, woman's place is in the home. We do need to enshrine that within the Constitution. But then there's my particular no, which, and like I said, it was a soft no, and I'm actually, like, as I've been reading the past few days, I'm getting more around to a yes, no. But, yeah, my experiences with trying to sign on and being prevented from doing so because of the label of cohabiting. That's just getting my hackles up when it comes to the durable relationships thing. And it's as that person was saying, you have Leo on that show, which has now become the kind of defining bit of media from this whole referendum. I'd say I've seen people really losing their shit over this, and correctly so. But it's just saying, we don't have any obligation to each other. If you're lucky, you can take care of the people you love, but that's not the state's responsibility. So what does that mean then? If you can't take care of them, I guess they were never meant to be taken care of. But yeah, as Radker says himself, we don't have any responsibility to each other. So this is the state trying to have that written down. We have no obligation to people. Be nice if we did. We'll strive to do that, but we don't have any obligation to people. And then who's responsible? But the family members. And then with the inclusive language, as this person was pointing out, he's like, oh, we're getting rid of this archaic language. But really, you're just increasing. Here are the people who are we've broadened it out. It's not just, your husband, your wife, your family members. It's durable relationships. What does that mean? What does anything mean? Just my experience of looking for help and the state to give me a hand, and them going, no, you should rely on this other person. Yeah, I don't know. That's where I was coming from on it. But then I'm kind of thinking, like, tactically, because actually I think about the referendum, those people are right. It's not really going to mean anything because there's plenty of stuff in the Constitution, which the government doesn't do anything about. So you're just going to have to keep fighting every day anyway. So the referendum is ultimately meaningless, let's say. So if it's a way of you speaking to the government, then if I'm voting no, then it could be like, oh yeah, well the far right have it, as opposed to here is the people making a gesture. They're saying something to you. They're speaking to you in a different way. Whether the government listen, that's an entirely different story. But I'm just saying that that's kind of the way that I'm thinking about it now. And I also wanted to read something that a friend of mine wrote on Instagram. If you'll indulge me. Been thinking about the referendum this Friday. Its shallow democratic process, how lackluster the campaign has been. A world away from Repeal the Eighth and the social movements and feminist organising that drove it. Also thinking about another island nation of 11 million people, which held a referendum on the family in 2022. That referendum resulted in one of the most progressive and advanced family legislations in the world. Why aren't we learning from it? 2 years ago, Cuba voted on a new family code, which took shape through a democratic participatory process. Código de las Familias reformed a previous family law from 1975, which was advanced for its day. E.g., a commitment to the sharing of domestic work was instituted through marriage. Leading up to the 2022 referendum, 57% of the electorate mobilised to participate in 79,000 neighbourhood meetings and forums. Over 400,000 public proposals were submitted, leading to 25 plus drafts of the law. Imagine a citizens' assembly in every village and town. 50% of the original proposal was revised in this way. The result of this process was a sweeping set of reforms in a 600-page document legislating on gay and trans rights, marriage equality, parental responsibility to children, care of the elderly, adoption, the order of surnames, violence in the family. Churches in Cuba campaigned for a no vote, predictably, but in the end 66% voted to approve the proposals. It's hard to conceive of a consultative and participatory process happening at this national scale in Ireland, but it makes you realise how conservative this referendum is, how disempowered we are from engaging meaningfully in the democratic process. Posting on social media doesn't count. God forbid our terminally incurious media and political class learn any lessons from somewhere other than London, Brussels or Washington. So I just thought that was an interesting contribution and worth sharing here. And ties into what I was saying earlier, that it's a mean, tight-fisted, narrow-minded process throughout this whole thing. And it's frustrating when it's about something like removing language that archaic from the Constitution. It's the state being a bollocks and us left arguing about it. I'm not entirely sure how I'll vote now or if I'll vote at all. Very dispiriting. But a better world is possible.
The state recognises that the family, whether founded on marriage or on other job relationships, is the natural. I think it's just saying, I mean, is it really just saying, wait, they want to get rid of the phrase on which the family is founded.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the state recognizes the family, whether founded on marriage or on other job or relationships. Wait, what are they doing here? Oh yeah. The state pledges itself to guard with special care the institution of marriage and to protect it against attack. I don't know what this one is doing.
Either way, it's like, what I think about it is it's very much like the Greens. You know, so the Greens in government are like, we will only do stuff that is punitive and makes all green policies seem unreasonable and irritating and annoying, okay?
Yeah.
And now they're doing this thing where it's like, we need to make the language more inclusive. And then you go like, well, how so? Well, by, making it more difficult for carers to receive state fund, support. And it's like, but, and then even the way that we're talking about it now, where we, are would be kind of engaged with this stuff, having to look through the wording, look at it, think about it, it's just like making a mockery of that stuff. It's trying to make like what used to be this thing where it's like, hey, vote yes for marriage equality, vote yes for repealing the 8th. You'd be like, hell yeah, let's like get behind this. And the Citizens Assembly came up with the large bulk of, a lot of what was implemented, not all of it, obviously. This is the exact opposite of that. This is trying to muddy the waters, make it more irritating to get involved with this type of stuff, but also incorporating that stuff like inclusive language, things that people largely would agree with. We should get rid of stuff of saying a woman's place is in the home. You'd be like, we should get rid of stuff like that. We should replace it with, more robust stuff. But they've done this maneuver now where like, it's like they couldn't help themselves. Like I was saying, it was such an easy win. They wouldn't change anything except a word, and they'd get like a good bunch of good press about it. But then they just like took too big a bite of the apple, and now they're going to fucking lose the whole thing, it looks like.
Yeah, like one thing, I find it interesting, the difference between the marketing of these referendum and the wording. Like, if you're just going off the vibes you're getting, it would be like, they're extending the definition of the family so that basically it's going to include single mothers, and then you're just getting rid of the word woman. They're making it gender neutral. That's like essentially what they're trying to make out like it's going to happen. And then you actually read it, and suddenly it's like, I don't know, there's these seem like wide-ranging changes, Yeah. It's like the marketing has been so disingenuous and misleading. Yeah. Like if it was just getting rid of, if it was making it gender neutral and it was just extend the family, sort of a no-brainer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But it said like, and then another part of it is that people distrust this government so much because, I mean, Fine Gael, they're the party that brought in austerity. That aren't they?
Yeah.
Then everyone's like, they're just doing this to fuck us over somehow. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Somehow we're going to end up with like less money in our pocket and less services to benefit from.
Yeah, because that's what's happening. That's what it looks like. I mean, like, this is what they've done historically. And then you look at this and it was like, well, it kind of looks like this. But if I trusted them, I'd give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But when they remove a part where it's like, hey, we'll try to do that, you're like, you're fucking me.
Yeah.
To my face. And you're making me vote for this. And you're going, it's fine. It's not even a big deal. Why do you care? Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, they're so checked out. There seems to be no coordination. Because to me, like I said, like, when you take into account like Helen McEntee, and I bring this up all the fucking time, even though it's, but like,
was I call her Nanny McPhee?
Yeah, Nanny State McPhee.
Have you seen that film?
No, I mean I've seen Nanny Yeah,
Nanny McEntee.
Yeah,
she's now a witch.
Yeah, it gets more beautiful as the movie goes along. If you remember,
more fuckable.
Yeah. So
what does she look like by the end of that film? Nanny McPhee.
I don't know. It just looks like Emma Thompson without any makeup on. Yeah.
Nanny McPhee.
Sorry, I got distracted now looking at pictures of Scarlett Johansson.
Nanny McAfee.
What a hot tamale, am I right?
Yeah. What here's a joke. What nanny didn't get HIV?
Nanny McAfee?
Nanny McAfee, like the antivirus.
I see. But HIV wouldn't be stopped by like by McAfee, which is like a computer.
Oh, I thought it was like I thought it was a retroviral. I thought it was like a vaccine.
No, which we hate.
No, I like that. I just said they stopped. Nanny McAfee.
Anyway, Helen McEntee went like doing the Coco's Law, doing like I don't know why am I obsessed with Coco's Law? It's just this idea of like there's a lot of like posturing and this kind of like. Do you remember when like for example Radker did like that chat show with Mary McAleese, and he was talking about how difficult it was to grow up being, gay and having a name that people can make fun of. That's what he said.
Yeah,
okay?
he has that same problem.
But then when you have look back at him when he's 19, he's just like, why don't we deport all the poor people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why do we make people pay to go to prison?
Yeah. Why a child needs a mother and a father, and it's like, you're such an asshole. It's such a joke. So to me, it was such a slam dunk to be like, let's have this gender inclusive language, and then clearly somebody was like, let's do the gender inclusive thing, and then somebody else went, yeah, let's take some money from them as well. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then they just bunched them all together, and now it's it's pleasing nobody. It's
Yeah.
achieving nothing. It's making them look really bad. And it's they also don't even care, because Radker was on yesterday or today going well, I just don't think that the state should help anybody. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't think that's the response. And you're just these guys have checked out. They are I am already 1 foot
peace
out
out.
the door. I'm going to the fucking IMF or whatever.
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me? Do I have to go on this show? Really?
Remember, and Roderick O'Gorman,
How could I
Minister
forget?
for Children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever thought up that fucking thing? right?
Yeah.
JK, obviously.
He did shake hands with a paedophile.
He did actually, yeah.
Now, some would say he was right to do it. Now, he was on the radio.
Well, it wasn't a paedophile. It was your man, Peter Tatchell, who was just saying that consent laws when it came to gay men should be a little more liberal. That you should be basically allowed to... Yeah.
We're saying the same thing here, Gareth.
AKA he's a paedophile. Okay, cool. And I'm not sure that that's actionable at all. And so that's why I'm leaving it in.
He's a paedophile in the way that every French intellectual is a paedophile. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. That is correct. That is the way to say that. Yeah.
But he was on the radio before Christmas, and he was like, any charities or NGOs or anything that don't get behind the government on this one, you're going to have to explain yourselves.
Shut your fucking mouth, you... I hate that guy.
Yeah.
He is one of the worst. He has got to be the stuff that he says where he's just there is nobody who has just embraced being more of a bagman for the worst forces in Irish society than Roderick O'Gorman, a fucking gay man. You know what I mean? Where I'm going to go up there and say that because of GDPR, we have to seal these records for 50 years. And I know that it's a fucking lie. And I'm saying it for the Catholic Church, you know?
Yeah, who is he? Selma Quickly?
Who's Selma Quickly? What's that?
The villain from Nanny McPhee.
What is going on in this episode? I'm losing track. I mean, of course. Is Angela Lansbury, is that Selma Quickly?
It isn't.
I'm going to have to look
So,
this up.
Nanny McPhee, she gets uglier as the film goes backwards. She's ugly at the start. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then she's beautiful by the end.
Yeah, she's beautiful, Emma Thompson. The hottest lady in the world.
And Selma Quickly the other way around.
Celia Imrie plays her, by the way.
Yeah, all the McPhee heads out there. Obviously.
Yeah. They were screaming at, come on, say it.
Yeah.
It's just very frustrating. But Selma Quickly, so the Wikipedia of Villains Wiki has her listed as widow, socialite, that's her occupation. Powers and skills include charm and manipulation. Her hobby is marrying men.
Yeah.
Crimes, child abuse, attempted forced marriage, destruction of property.
She's the opposite of Radker. You know, okay, so it's power skills, charm, manipulation. No.
Oh, yeah, so I got my list of things here.
Yeah, okay.
One of the things... I wanted to do is that so they finally released the lyrics of Israel's entry into the Eurovision.
Okay.
And Israel are saying, oh, yeah, we'll change the lyrics to make it less political. But I think the title is still going to remain October Rain.
Right. Okay.
I don't think you're taking this very seriously.
Yeah.
So somebody translated them from Hebrew, and it goes, writers of history, stand by my side. Look into my eyes and see. People walk but never part. Someone stole the moon tonight, took away my light. Everything is black and white. Who's the fool who told you that boys don't cry? Hours and more hours and flowers. Life is no game for the fearful.
Bono.
This Russian... Yeah, exactly. There once was a man called Zelensky who went to... Why does time go mad? That doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Why are things so crazy all of a sudden?
So here's the chorus. Every day I lose my innocence, holding on to this mysterious journey. Dancing in the storm, we have nothing to hide. Take me home, leave the world behind, and I promise you never again. I'm still drenched from the October rain. October rain.
Right.
Wake me up when September ends, huh?
Yeah.
Israel's answer to Wake Me Up When September Ends, that popular song.
They should just nuke Israel now, just for that song.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not done yet. Living in fantasy, in ecstasy, everything is meant to be. We'll die, but love never will. Then it goes, no air left to breathe, no place, no me, day by day, all good children, one by one. So,
is it over?
Those are the...
All good children, one by one. D-D-D-D-D-D-D.
All good children, one by one. Yeah, all those Palestinian children. No, not them. No, the other children.
Yeah. I saw that film, Zone of Interest.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
I didn't like it. And
interesting.
I think part of why I didn't like it, I was literally like... I was just like, I don't want to hear about the other genocide.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah. It very much was about, like, there was no bit where it was like, this, genocide is bad. It was just like, the Holocaust is bad. Like, the Holocaust is really bad. This film's about the Holocaust, not about anything else. It's about the Holocaust, you know? Like, do you think you'll see it?
That's a... No. No, I
So
not.
at the end, so it's about this guy, Haas. Boss Haas.
Hess?
I don't know.
Boss Haas. It's about Boss Haas who ran Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Or is it Dachau?
And he's a Nazi. He's run the Holocaust in Auschwitz. And he's just basically turned up to work, doing his thing. You know. You never see the Holocaust happening. You just, like, hear it. And then at the end, he... it cuts to, like, the current day Auschwitz. And it's like a museum. And you can see all the shoes and the hair and all this.
Yeah.
So I really felt that bit was supposed to be like, and this is about the Holocaust. It's not about, like, get that other shit out of your head. This is about the Holocaust. It's like,
that's one thing, because that's one thing that put me off of watching the movie, because your man Jonathan Glazer, he's directed so many...
Yeah, he's
directed
glazing Israel with that one, You ever heard that phrase?
Yeah, I can take a guess, but like
he's glazing it now with that one.
Yeah. Put him in a big glass box. So like, there's because he's a glazer. Do you get it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he directed Sexy Beast, which is great. He directed Under the Skin, which is all right. And then I think he directed one other movie, which I haven't seen. But then this one was coming out, and I was like, it kind of is something that on any other year I might have been interested in seeing.
Yeah.
But post October 7th, I was like you're saying, I am not really in the mood for seeing something like that, and especially not if I don't know. I know this is bad, but the director or the writer's politics or motives behind it. Now, I have heard that actually he is I haven't seen him be very vocally anti-Israel, but I've seen people say that he's not a Zionist. And there is also like it's been nominated for a few Oscars this year, and you feel like the IDF should be like, or like Israel would be like, proud Jewish filmmaker, never again, but they're not. And I wonder whether that's because there's a bit more ambiguity than they would like. I've heard, I
don't know, people love it. It mainly makes me feel like I'm missing something. But to me, it's just like, it's two things, because it's like, to make a Holocaust without seeing any of the victims, it's just a bit like, it's a bit too clever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and then they have your man, and he's really dispassionate, you know, like, he's just really removed, and he's just doing his job, and it's sort of academic to him, you know what I mean? Like, he could be doing any job. And they're so divorced from, like, I don't doubt some of the Nazis were like that, but then, like, you see like Israel, and they're not just like, we have to do this genocide. They're just like, we love this shit, you know what I mean? Like, this is what gets us out of bed. Like, they're so happy and they're so angry, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you see the Israeli ambassador and she's just using really academic language. She's just like, fuck them, you know what I mean? She's like, kill those rats. Kill very
them. Evocative, emotional, and they're very happy about it. Sometimes it feels like it's very I'm actually laughing sort of energy.
Yeah, but like, whatever
it's also become so much interchange. Like, as in, at this point, there's so much of it that may as well be the actual thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, maybe at one point it started out as I'm actually laughing, but now you are just I'm actually laughing, you know? Like, so, it's actually just because what you said there just reminded, because I was watching, what movie was that? Oh, I was watching Justice League, the cartoon, the animated series, and there was some villain in it who started like going. It's so stupid to say, but like basically like Aquaman is going to be killed and his son is going to be killed, his little baby boy, and the guy is an Atlantean is going to kill him, and he's just like, and he goes like, excuse me, I have to go off and avenge your death, and he's smiling and laughing, and and I was like it's so funny because that's like really unrealistic, isn't it? Like in those movies where the villain like laughs, and then I was like, well, actually, like going down through my Twitter feed, I just have these guys like, you know, IDF soldiers just grinning from ear to ear as they're like, I'm standing over the rubble, I've destroyed it, I'm in their homes, I'm wearing their lingerie, look at this little baby, I'm sleeping in his crib, and they, you know, they're like, they love it, and I was like, oh, actually, this is something that happens. Yeah, maybe it's something that always happened, but it is definitely something that happens now.
Yeah, like for a lot of this stuff, there's always like a sexual edge to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if this guy, Boss Hoss, whatever his name is, he's not just silent, and he's not just like calculating. Like it's like you see the Israeli soldiers, like sniffing the underwear and stuff, or like even say the American soldiers in Abu Ghraib, like there was like a sexual dimension to it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Trying to be like, it's actually just intellectual. They don't really hate them. They just want rid of them. I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah, and there's a kind of like, there's also a sort of banality of evil argument that you're making, which is like, I think we're past this now. And actually, I don't know if evil is even banal anymore. The shit that I'm seeing. Exactly. These people are doing like dressing up in a T-Rex outfit to load a shell into some launcher that has like Matthew Perry's name written on the side of it. It's like, it's actually not banal anymore. It's very active and like grimly hilarious as well. I mean, like, that's it. I mean, it's not making me laugh. I'm just saying it is fucking like,
I get you,
funny. It's fucking, they're so mental, you know, like it's just and it's just a weird time for that movie to be released, where it's like the complexities of this person and what they're doing and their detachment from it and what's going on behind the walls of this establishment, and he knows, but then you get used to the sounds, or you get used to this, and but
Like,
you know, there is an obvious parallel that you could make with the occupation of Palestine, especially given that they had a fucking festival right next to the concentration camp, you know?
Because there's a character in it, the wife. She's much more compelling. Because she, like, she sort of loves her husband, but she's like, she also just fucking loves the Holocaust, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, getting in these new batches of clothes from different, like, you know, from all the Jews who've been killed. She's like trying them on. She finds a lipstick in the pocket and she immediately starts applying it. Like, she's just like, this is sick. You like, I fucking love this. This is the best.
Yeah.
And then her husband gets like, he's like gets promoted, so he goes somewhere else. And she's like, I'm gonna stay here because this is just too good to leave. You know.
Yeah.
And
that is more interesting.
Yeah. It's like, and it feels truer. It's just like.
Yeah.
I don't think there are that many people who can dispassionately destroy, like, do a genocide just because it's their job. I think it's, I don't know, just feels more true.
Well, I think especially when you live next to it, because, you know, you could point at somebody like Cheney or Rumsfeld, but, like, they weren't in the thick of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a great show. Highly recommend.
So, yeah, as out of interest, do not see. Run. Don't walk. Run away.
Away from this movie.
Yeah.
About that.
Do you know what they call it? Zone of interest 360. Because you do a 360 when you see it and walk away. Remember they used to say that about the Xbox 360?
I don't actually know. But if you did a 360 and walk away, then you'd be walking towards the Xbox. So.
And then you keep walking, you just walk by it.
Yeah, they should call it Xbox 180.
Yeah,
and you just turn around and walk away from it. That would make sense as a joke. 360 is like, hooray, an Xbox, and then you do a little twirl, you know. No, I don't know. This was just like a little. I read the Meta Mouse, which was about Mouse, written by Art Spiegelman. I read it a number of years ago, but he was kind of like grappling with the Holocaust and like the trauma and back when that wasn't like really done to death, you know. Before Prestige TV destroyed the idea of exploring trauma, you know. But he was like, you know, as the son of somebody who survived the Holocaust, and then his brother who didn't survive the Holocaust and was always perpetually a child, like above the mantelpiece, you know, in this photo. And there's all this stuff in it that but he was like talking about trying to research that and trying to get to the camps. And he said that there was a documentary by this, by like some mad Zionist. And he was like, he's like, I can just agree to attach myself to this documentary so that I can see Auschwitz and I can get paid for it, you know?
Yeah.
Because he needed, like, just didn't want to go out of pocket, and he wanted access to all these other places while he was researching his comic. So he said that he showed up at the camps and he and his wife were so overwhelmed by what they saw because he'd only been kind of like hearing his dad talk about it and, you know, had all this imagery and stories, and now he was seeing the place, and they were so overcome with emotion that they started crying and they were embracing each other. And then he said he looked around and he saw that this guy had taken out the camera and was like coming in on him straight away, and he was like kind of annoyed. He was like, you know, he's like, this guy wanted the Germans to feel bad about the Holocaust forever. He's like, nobody should forget. This is like a singular thing that has happened, and, you know, to be used again as like fuel to carry out what we're seeing right now, like a genocide. Nobody can forget what happened, and it's grim, but it's necessary. And when the dust settles on history, people will have forgotten that this ever happened. The Palestinians will be a footnote. Israel will be a thing, and we don't have, like, I know you're looking at all these bodies and you feel bad, but like, we're just passing through this moment.
Yeah.
It will all be in the rear view mirror, and Israel will exist. Okay. So like this is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And it's very unpleasant.
I was listening
again. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
As this is
go on.
The radio. What show would be on the radio at 1:00? Brian Dobson still have a show, or is he gone?
Yeah, he's just about. Yeah.
I think it was him interviewing someone. So,
Yeah.
someone's right. It's the 4th of March. Radio's on at 1 o'clock. So whoever that is. And he had this chap on talking about Israel, Palestine. And then he goes, what's Israel's plan for when they get rid of Hamas?
Yeah.
He asked that.
What a strange question.
Like, what's their plan for, like, governing the place? It's like,
yeah,
what a insane like, it's just a genocidal question.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, it's
what'll
like,
Hitler
yeah,
do
you're right,
once the Jews are gone?
Once they're exterminated. I mean,
Like-
that's it. Like, he's...
And then your man was like, oh, what they're going to do is this. They're going to get rid of... They're going to have a new body that won't be either Hamas or the PLO. Or not PLO, the...
Palestinian Authority.
Yeah, Palestinian Authority. I don't know what that's going to be like. I was like, okay, thanks.
Well, he got rid of the PA as well.
Yeah.
Their anointed opposition.
Yeah.
Or their anointed Palestinian... No, we're going to get rid of that and it'll just be Israel.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's crazy.
But, like... It's literally just be like, what's Hitler going to do once...
Yeah.
Like, he's won Europe. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, they're just also accepting the premise that Israel is putting forward. We're like, yeah, we're trying to destroy Hamas. Okay, once you've destroyed them, what's going to happen? It's like, well, go back. You're not even going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that people keep bringing up is like, if you killed all of my family and you eradicated Hamas, then somehow, probably day 2, I'd probably trying to figure out how to create Hamas too.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
saying. It's like, you can't do that. What you're talking about is an impossibility, you know? And there was... recently, George Galloway. Do you hear about this? Do you know this guy?
No.
You haven't seen this? You heard about this? George Galloway is an independent British politician. He's kind of like served. I think he's an MP 1 or 2, 3 times, something like that. 3 times now. But so Labour had a by-election in Rochdale, and their candidate, who was like a loyalist to Starmer, was caught saying that he thought Netanyahu carried out October 7th or allowed it to happen. So they deselected him, and then George Galloway saw an opportunity. Previously, George Galloway became an MP, I believe an MP, taking over the seat of somebody who voted in favour of the Iraq War. So he's kind of always this opportunistic sort of guy going on an anti-imperialist, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of irrelevant, but like a lot of I've seen people online go, oh, he's actually not a very nice guy. But the man himself is sort of irrelevant. It's the fact that he got voted in with like a huge majority. The Labour apparently almost lost their deposit,
Really?
The single issue that he ran on was Palestine. And all of the British media are like shitting their pants. They're like, this guy is the most dangerous person ever. Like, and he's like a lot, But he did an interview with Sky News, which is one of the most satisfying interviews I've watched in a very long time. I ended up watching it twice, and it was 7 minutes long. Okay, a news clip that you watch twice is a pretty incredible thing, right? But like, The reason I was bringing it, because so Sky News, there's this thing about like Labour did it, by the way. Labour are the ones who, I don't know if, remember that thing I described to you over WhatsApp, but I don't think I said it on the... So the SNP put forward a motion. Can't believe we're talking about British politics again. We need to not do this.
Why?
But I just feel like they get enough air. We need to be talking about Irish shit,
Yeah.
But it's relevant for for this... by the time I make the point I'm making. But the SNP put forward a motion, immediate ceasefire, and referring to what's happening in Gaza as collective punishment.
Yeah.
And then Labour were like, well, we can't vote for that because it's an SNP motion. We need to make amendments to it to water it down so that it's deeply insufficient.
Yeah.
But because of parliamentary rules... apparently, the Tories are the only ones who can make an amendment to an opposition bill. You can't have another opposition party make an amendment. I don't know how it works, but that's what the rule was.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Tories were like, no, leave it the way it is, because obviously we're going to vote against it, but then it exposes Labour as hypocrites if they don't vote for it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we need to water it down. It's like, no, vote for it as it is, or don't, you know? Show your colours. So then Starmer then talked to the Speaker of the House, okay?
Yeah.
And it was revealed that later on that he could have possibly intimidated the Speaker of the House, saying like, your position, should I get into government, might not be viable, you know?
Okay.
And basically the Speaker of the House changed the rules so that Labour's amendment could be enacted, okay?
Right.
So a bunch of people just SNP and the Tories just walked out in like outrage over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, long and short of it, I didn't do a very good job explaining it, but what you need to know is that there was a parliamentary rule which would have left Labour completely exposed to criticism over their handling about Gaza, and then they just spoke to somebody and managed to make it so that that rule didn't apply to them.
Yeah.
And then everybody got really upset, and they were like, why the fuck did you make this decision? Like, this is completely unprecedented. And he was like, oh, we just needed to hear like all, you know, voices in the debate. It's important to get all sides of this type of thing. And then the next day he was like, actually, I did it because a lot of these MPs, their lives were in danger if they weren't able to vote for this. And the implication was these brown hordes of Muslims, you know, Muslim extremists, they could attack them, you know?
Yeah.
If like, if I didn't let the vote go the way that it went. And he's like, and I'll never apologize for that, you know?
It's mad at the language of safety, you know, like...
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Used to be just these woke, blue hair, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Talking about being safe. And now it's Keir Spiegel being like, I feel unsafe. We need to do this, you know, we need to support the genocide because I feel unsafe, you know?
Well, you see the clips of like them being harassed by constituents, and what it is somebody going up, my entire family was killed, and then being dragged away by some security.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I actually feel really unsafe right now. I don't know, like, about you. But like, what ended up happening then is Suella Braverman basically said that she did an article in like the Telegraph saying that like Islamists had taken over the UK. And then Lee Anderson, a Tory MP, appeared on a radio show and said that Sadiq Khan, the current mayor of London, was in the pocket of Islamists and that London had been taken by the Islamists. So then all of a sudden it switched to the Tories, Islamophobic party, question mark. It's like, yeah, of course they fucking are.
Yeah.
But like, you're just missing the other thing where they go like Labour agreed with them, you know? Like... Yeah. It's crazy that they managed to get away with that, is what I'm saying. And now all anybody's talking about was the Tories. But as a result, then, all of that is in the air. So when George Galloway goes, I support Gaza, I'm going to go in there and scream about Gaza, vote for me. And then he gets voted in a fucking massive majority. And then they go, this is dangerous. This is so dangerous. These extremists now have a voice, you know, and so Sky News are like interviewing him, and then they go like some of the things they say were like, the Prime Minister, by the way, Rishi Sunak did a speech and called like Galloway out directly as like a dangerous instigator of like, you know, that he was fanning the flames of this type of stuff that was going to get people killed essentially. And he said he was going to crack down on protests and that anybody who was a migrant who was found protesting is liable to be deported.
Yeah.
Shit like this is crazy.
Yeah.
But like the Labour MPs are like, no, we need to do that because otherwise I'm going to be killed, I guess. I don't they don't think that.
Why are Labour politicians in Labour? Why don't they just become Tories?
I don't know.
It's just because they don't think
idea.
they'd win. They just be like, we wouldn't get elected in a Tory. Like, they're just not quite as hardcore or something. They're
just a fucking both like, you know, fucking, you know, the thing about the Looney Tunes where it's like, you know, Sam the sheepdog and then Ralph Wolf, and then the cartoon ends when this like bell goes and then they just go and clock off. It's like, all right, see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like, we're enemies. We're not enemies. We're on these podcasts talking to each other like, I don't agree with them. Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart on this podcast, Jess Phillips and this other fucking dickhead on this podcast, and they're talking about, oh, we don't agree with each other. It's like, you agree, like 100%. There's no difference between you. It's just, the reason that you're in it is just like to keep up the farce of there being two parties in the UK, you know? But the reason I brought it up is because Galloway was being interviewed by the Sky guy, and one thing that happened, he's like, well, we were going around Rochdale and we were talking to some people and they're not happy that you're voted in. And he goes, well, I got voted in. So like, maybe they didn't vote for me, but like, what? I can't do anything about that, was basically like his response, you know?
Yeah, that's such a funny point.
And then but then the other point that they make is like, well, the Prime Minister has just called you out, you know? He says that you support Hezbollah. And then he goes, I don't even know what that means, Hezbollah. Like, I support Hezbollah. What do you mean? It was like, he's like, Israel like has occupied illegally and like bombed parts of Lebanon, and I believe in any democratic country having the right to oppose their occupation by any means necessary. He's like, they're like a country, they're a sovereign country who we have dealings with, and these are the people that they voted into power. Do I support Hezbollah? It's like, I don't know what that question means. You know, it's irrelevant. And but your man is just like, he doesn't know what to say because he doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. Yeah. He doesn't know, like, when you say like, well, what do you mean by Hezbollah? Like, because Hezbollah are like in government, but they're also like the military thing. And of course there's the occupied areas in Lebanon and then the bombing from the Israelis, and this guy's like,
yeah, he's
like he doesn't know.
Sorry, the card just says Hezbollah. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't know
but it's the same as Brian Dobson just being like, what are you going to do when you win? It's like, you know, what a foolish thing to think is possible. Do you know? Yeah. Do you not have like, it's just so lack of, they're just told and then they go, oh, okay, you know, that's it. And then they just repeat it. But yeah, there's another really, you'd love this clip, honestly.
I might get a cup of tea.
Let me tell you this clip real quick, and then you can.
Okay.
But Jeremy Paxman, they have him in 2003 interviewing George Galloway after he's just been elected. He's like, you know, he goes like, Mr. Galloway, you know, what do you have to say for yourself after managing to de-seat one of the only black MPs in Westminster? And he goes, what a ludicrous question. He's like, just ask me another question. And then he's like, what's ludicrous about that? That you managed to get one of the only black MPs in Westminster. And he was just like, I don't think people get voted in on the color of their skin. I think it's like their policies and stuff like this, you know. And he was like, but one of the things he was accused of saying is like, which is racist, but the sentiment to the point is, I think, is fair, which he said that your one had voted in favor of the Iraq War. So he was like, they're killing people with blacker faces than she has, is what he said. Okay, yeah. Which is like, but you're also like, yeah. And he was like, and you said that she has blood on her hands. And he was trying to be like a gotcha. And then he goes, yeah, no, there's no dispute there. And then like Paxman is just kind of disgusted. He's like, are you even going to congratulate me on my win? And then Paxman goes, congratulations, Mr. Galloway. And then he goes, thanks. And he takes off his microphone and just walks away. And I was like, and Paxman is losing his shit. He's like, oh, so just somebody you don't agree with. And I was like, this is so therapeutic. You know, this is, all right. Yeah, you go get that tea. I got another coffee, sure, why not?
Why not? Treat yourself.
Yeah. And then we'll watch a comedy sketch when you get back.
Doomed up. In the second half, the Ligers reckon with the foil arms and Hoggervera in particular their latest about Israel-Palestine. Brackets. Big eyes emoji. Closed brackets. Gar believes this is the funniest hour they've recorded and you can access it at www.patreon.com/KeltyCligers for $5 a month.